Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you with another confession off my concert confession series. Yes, indeed, folks. Concert confession series is a vlog series I've been doing for a little while. I'll go over there and talk about concerts and other live music events and things that I've recently, taken part in. It's an opportunity for me to go over there and confess my concert sins, to recount my recreational revelries, and to muse over my musical misadventures. Basically, it's just a big old opportunity for me to stand on a soapbox and say, hey, look at these cool things I did. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there, I'm going to yammer on typically about 20-ish so minutes or so, 25-ish there. Whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I'm in my back room, which means we get Peter Can Thunderbolt poster. Ooh, Peter Can Thunderbolt poster. Whilst we're doing all that, folks, I'm doing something else. I'm wearing a super cool shirt. Folks, when I wear super cool shirts, I always like to highlight the super cool shirt. What super cool shirt am I wearing for you today? Happens to be my Cold shirt, specifically their anniversary shirt for their album 13 Ways to Bleed on Stage. Yee! Now, if you watch my Concert Confession series, thank you, by the way, I appreciate that. Then you know that at this point, what I try to do is I try to wear a shirt from the band of the previous episode. So the last episode that I did was featuring the band Cold. That's where I got this shirt, which I love so much. This is like genuinely one of my favorite concert shirts. Cold are an incredible band. They've actually been around for quite a while. They started out in Florida, and they've just been doing it, man. They've worn many hats in terms of their genre. You know, sometimes they're considered nu metal or alternative rock or post-grunge, what have you. Whatever you consider them, they're always incredible, and I love them. They're an incredible band. I've actually got some videos of numerous performances of theirs that I've seen over the years. Those videos are on my channel, in case maybe you want to check them out. If nothing else, I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction as far as their music is concerned, because I think they're absolutely incredible. But anyway, what are we doing here today, folks? What's going on? Folks, this is Concert Confessions episode number 27. Concert number 200! Yeah! It's my little 200 concert dates. I'm going to, in fact, do it in episode later on, just talking about my 200 thing. But yeah, I'm so freaking jazzed, man, even now. So this particular concert, like I said, 200 concerts. This particular concert was for a band out of Japan called Lovebites, and then accompanying them was a band called Edge of Paradise. I actually was there to see Edge of Paradise more than Lovebites, but I'll kind of get into that when I talk about the bands. I actually have a format that I like to follow when I do this little show that I do here. I always like to start off with the venue. In this case, it was a band called RocHaus in West Dundee, Illinois. That amazingly, I don't think I've ever been to. Maybe once before. Like, I gotta look through my concert list and see, like, there were certain things about it that did seem a little bit familiar. But it's just crazy that, at the very least, I haven't been there more frequently, because it's not like it's super far out of my way. It's not close, but, it's not as bad as some of the other venues that I've gone to more frequently. And, it seems like they host some really good bands there. So I really like the setup for this place, man. It's not a huge space, and I know that for some of the fans of Lovebites specifically, they were, I guess, a little bit, upset, or, whatever you want to call it, that they weren't playing bigger venues. But, at the same time, like, this was a good venue for a band that's, like, coming into these things, they're, building a North American fan base. I've mentioned in the past, you had places also like Beat Kitchen, the Riviera Theater, stuff like that. Some of these venues where it's like, yeah, they're not like the biggest venues, but they're great for, like, if you're coming into this, environment and you're building that reputation. And to that end, this venue worked perfectly. The layout of it was really nice. About my only beef with it was just kind of like, because when you would come in, and they had the merch tables set along the side, and then they had a bar kind of like up in this sort of elevated area. There was this area where, like, it could get pretty tight. Like, when people were trying to leave, like, we were, like, not in motion for a solid probably 5 minutes before enough people trekked through before we were able to get through. So, like, that one little area was a little bit dicey. But, no, I like the rest of the layout. It had a really, like, high elevated stage, which I personally probably would have liked it a little bit lower, because, like, it was, like, basically for me, I'm, like, 5'8" or so. The stage was, like, basically about, like, head level, maybe a little bit lower. But it did allow for great viewing for myself, and I'm sure for everybody else, which was actually really nice. And even beyond that, they did have, like, a sort of slight elevation as the venue went back. So, you would kind of, like, go up to one, you had, like, the floor area, then you go back and it was a little bit elevated, and then you go back and you have, like, the bar and it was a little bit more elevated. So viewing was great, man. Like, seriously, I can't imagine anybody there was complaining about the view, because the band was elevated, everything else was elevated, so kudos to them on that. Also, really good sound work, too. One thing that I've mentioned in plenty of episodes in the past, good sound design, man, can make or break a show. I've been to shows where I've loved the artist, loved their performance, loved everything going on, but when it came to the sound presentation, it was so shit that it really kind of dampened the whole experience. Not the case here. I was a little worried at first when the first band came out, Edge of Paradise. Their first song, I was like, like the vocals were a little bit, but either the sound guy made adjustments or something or whatever, but like literally by the second song, everything kind of seemed to have been hammered out and it sounded really good. So, really cool spot. Like, I definitely want to come back to this place. Like, this is one of those places where, like, now that I'm aware of it, I'm going to be keeping it on my radar and checking to see what shows they have going on there, because I really like the layout of this place. It's very cool. And again, it's not like super duper far, so. But let's talk about the bands, because the bands are always the meat of everything. So you only had two bands. I've been on a weird run of like 2-band concerts lately, and I'm not mad at that. Like, I like shows with lots of bands, but the older I get, it is it's nice to end the night a little bit earlier, to not feel as burdened by my own age and weight at the end of the night. Like, the last, like, I think, like, 4 shows I've been to have just been... So, the first band was Edge of Paradise. They are a band out of California who've actually been doing it for a while. Like, despite the fact that I only run into them earlier this year, looking them up, I think they got started in, like, 2011 or something like that. So, like, they've been at it. And they even mentioned themselves that, like, people tend to think that they're, like, a European band. And they're like, no, we're from the United States. I had seen Edge of Paradise, became aware of Edge of Paradise earlier in the year when they were on tour with a band called Delane, and I actually did a Concert Confessions episode about that, if you're interested. And I mentioned in that I really, really liked their stuff, and I was genuinely really blown away by them. So when I saw that they were going to be touring in my area again, I really wanted to be part of that. And, it timed itself out nicely. It was a weekend show. I was like, all right, man, the only thing that was potentially holding me back a little bit was the fact that I never heard of the main band, Lovebites. Never heard of them before. So I was kind of like hemming and hawing a little bit, but when I went over there and did a little bit of research on Lovebites, I ended up really liking their stuff too. And then I was just like, you know what, fucking Edge of Paradise are badass. So I'm absolutely going to go to this. And it ended up being super duper awesome. Like, for one thing, one of the things I like when you have, typically-ish, when you have like 2-band, shows, is that you can give a little bit more time to the openers. And that was a really cool thing with Edge of Paradise's set, was that it didn't feel just like an opening set, They got in a good amount of songs. If you were a fan of Edge of Paradise, you got that experience, And that was really cool. Because I would love, and I even told this to them after their set, I'd love to see them as headliners in the near future, because they are genuinely worth it. I think they're so fucking cool. They hit up a nice mix of stuff from their current album, as well as, some of their older stuff, which I was a little bit less familiar with. But, like, yeah, man, they are so fucking cool. The lead singer is. I've been another thing I've been on a run of this year is like awesome shows with like incredible like female vocalists and like female members and stuff. And Edge of Paradise, like, it's so cool what the lead singer does because like there's so many female fronted bands. I'm not gonna, not all of them obviously, but there's a lot of them these days that basically emulate the success of like Ginger and Tatiana, and like doing like those heavy growls and stuff, which I love. I fucking love Ginger, and I love a lot of those bands that have come out. But it's really cool that with Edge of Paradise, like they're not doing that, Like she has an almost operatic voice, with the way that she sings, and it's so impressive and so cool. And the rest of the band are so fucking awesome, man. Like, they have a great fucking technical guitarist who absolutely fucking kills it. Bassist, man, always has this cool kind of swagger to him. I love the drummer, because, like, he's just, like, he's a great drummer anyway. But then on top of that, he just wears, like, fully, like, black sunglasses. And it's a cool look, on stage and everything. I had so much fun, man. I was smiling ear to ear their entire set. It was just so. It was one of those things where, like, because this was my 200th show, so there was, like, part of me that's like, is this going to be my 200th show? Is this the show that should be 200? And, yeah, I mean, obviously it was, I was going to do it anyway, but, yeah, absolutely it was. Like, Edge of Paradise are fantastic, and getting to see them twice in the same year was incredible, and they're just. And full credit to them. They're really nice people, too. I've met them after both of their sets that I've attended. And in both instances, they're crazy nice people. Lead singer even remembered me from the previous show that I'd seen them at. They even went over there and took a little video with me when I told them it was my 200th show. So I don't know where that video is going to end up. If it's like going to end up on Instagram or Facebook or something. I hope it actually shows up somewhere because I'd really like to have that video. But they were fantastic, and I love them, and they're incredible people, and yes. Let's talk about Lovebites. Holy shit, Lovebites. So, like, I'm mad at myself for not knowing who Lovebites is, because not only do I follow Japanese music, like, and I have been since my high school days, Earlier this year, I saw another all-girl, or all-female, Japanese rock band called Scandal, who I've been following, since my early 20s. So the fact that, like, I had no idea who this band was kind of shocked me. And like I said, I didn't know who they were before this, but I went over there, I broke my cardinal rule, because usually when I don't know who a band is, I don't do a lot of research beforehand, I just kind of go into it raw. But in this instance, I was like, no, I don't, they're the headliner, I'd like to know who the fuck they are. And I listened to like 2 of their songs. I was like, yeah, I'm down. They are like a heavy sort of like power metal, like arena rock type of band. Getting to see them on stage, it was honestly reminiscent of like watching like the like Iron Maiden DVDs and stuff like that my uncle has given me over the years. Where it's just like, because like there are these these 5 incredibly awesome and gorgeous, Japanese girls who are over there, and like, to all the people, and I hate that there's still this mentality, but there are still people out there who think that for some reason, women can't really perform their instruments properly, or, they can't play guitar, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, first of all, both of their guitars could fucking shred. Like, holy shit, could they shred. And that was amazing. Then, their bassist, because I love a fucking good bassist, their bassist was so fucking awesome. I loved when they would go over there in some of their songs, they'd give her that opportunity to really kind of stand out, because she was so fucking cool. Like, because let's be honest, sometimes you get a bassist who's just standing there just strumming one fucking thing, hardly doing anything. That was not the case with her. She was just as in it as either of the guitarists. The drummer was fucking awesome. I will say, one little grievance that I had, I wish, given the amount of space that they had on stage, I wish that the drummer had been closer up, so that she could have been more part of the show. But she was fucking awesome. They did give her a little chance. I would love for them to go over there and give her more opportunities to really kind of showcase what she can do, because they did give her a little bit in one of the songs to kind of just go a little bit nuts. I'd love to see him give her some, some drum solos. Uh, that said, though, their songs are long because they get so many solos in and stuff. And it was like, man, oh man, like I was looking at their set list beforehand, and it was like, wow, it's not that many songs, but it's like, no, you're getting a lot of song per song. And the lead singer, going back to, talking about sort of almost operatic type vocals with Edge of Paradise, she had a similar thing, but a different way. Again, very much kind of reminiscent of those like 70s and 80s like power metal bands and, arena bands and stuff like that. Which is not, if I'm being honest, not typically my favorite vocal style. However, as I've gotten older, and especially through some of the stuff that my Uncle Rob has gone over there, like I say, he's given me some of his old DVDs and stuff, I've become more attuned to it. And, like, if it's done in the right way and it's presented just right, and that was exactly it. Her fucking vocals were awesome, man. And again, going back to the clarity of the sound. Like, the sound was really good. And you needed that for this type of band because you needed everybody to stand out and for it to just work. And it did. And it was so fucking cool. And I was really happy because I had a really good spot in the crowd and I could see perfectly. It was basically the exact opposite of when I saw Baby Metal earlier this year, where I was like behind like three tall people and had to kind of like every now and again I'd see something that was going on. Here it was like, boom, just here's the stage. I could see everything. They were fucking awesome, man. Like, again, like coming into this one, it's like, it's my 200th show, I don't even know who the headline. I'm so fucking happy I went to this, man. Because the headliners were, fucking Lovebites were so fucking cool. And I love the dichotomy between their group, because it's like, they've all got like these big smiles on their faces. They're all just, totally into it. And then their one guitarist off to the side, just did not smile the entire time. And I don't mean that in a bad way or anything like that. It was kind of, she had like a stoicism about her. And she was still totally into it. She was killing it. But it was so interesting because they almost had like these characters that they were playing, similar to something like Kiss. And I kind of found that really cool. So they were awesome, man. I'm a fan. Let's talk about the crowd real quick. Crowd was definitely hit or miss. A lot of people showed up, which was great, because I really didn't fucking know how many people were going to be here, and it sucks when you're like one of like 7 people at a show. I've been there a few times. This place was almost filled. I was surprised, because I bought my tickets the day of, because it was kind of a last-minute-ish thing. And, I'm surprised they didn't sell out for how many fucking people were there, and how excited people were for them. It had to have been close, because like the place was genuinely fucking packed. Crowd was like, I met some really cool people in the crowd. While I was waiting outside for the venue to open, I chatted with a couple of guys who were super cool, and we were yammering back and forth, talking concert stories. That was cool. My immediate neighbors on the floor were mostly okay. There was kind of a group of them who were a little bit chatty, but not egregiously so. So, However, 2 incidents basically kind of soured things a little bit. The first one was at one point, this one guy who was in the crowd basically just decided to become a one-man mosh pit. And, like, look, it's a metal show, and even he made that point. But, like, the majority of the crowd at this show, well, I won't say the majority, but a good chunk of the crowd of this show, despite, being an all-Asian Japanese female metal band, or maybe because of that, were guys who were like kind of older, guys who would be like into that type of metal, somewhat older, older school style metal. And so like this guy just busts out and just decides he's going to start moshing. And like none of the people there were in for that, man. None of them were into that. And it ended up causing a little bit of a thing, to the extent where I actually was about to step in and kind of bear hug the guy just to like get him to settle down, because like, I'm all for moshing. I can't really do it anymore these days. I'm a bit too seasoned. But you have to know the room, like, you can't just bust into it. and he busted into it, and he was clearly causing issues for everybody around him. One of my immediate neighbors, however, decided to take it upon himself to basically grab the guy, and then that caused some issues. The guy who was moshing went over there and referred to the guy who grabbed him as being a poser, which was like, oh, come on, dude, really? You're going to use the word poser in a non-ironic sense? So I was initially going to give it to the guy who grabbed him. I was like, okay, he called you a poser. That was pretty lame. But then he referred to him as a maggot with an F. Yeah, in 2025. So quite frankly, fuck the both of them. Like, that was just shittiness all around. Yeah. And then there was another incident later on. There was this one guy who was even more seasoned than me, who was kind of taking some liberties with, like, his placement in the crowd. And I don't think he was doing it intentionally to be a jackass. I think he was just an older guy, and I don't know. But he ended up going over there and causing some issues with one of the people in front of him. He kind of reached out a bit too far, I think, and kind of got into the way of somebody else. So that almost looked like it was going to be a fight. Thankfully, nothing ended up happening. And there was one other thing, I almost forgot to mention this. When I was talking with the members of Edge of Paradise after their set, this one older guy, like really old, he came through and he handed them something. And I could just kind of see it, and it was like some sort of political pamphlet. I don't care what side of the argument you're on. Don't fucking do that. That's creepy and gross. Leave your fucking politics. Like, even if you're at a show that is politically charged, because some bands do that. I saw Grandson recently. They have a political message with their stuff. Don't fucking do that. That's creepy and weird. Leave your fucking pamphlets and shit the fuck at home, all right? Anyway, so let's talk about merch real quick. Merch is real simple because I only got one thing because I was fairly broke. And it happens to be my Edge of Paradise. Fucking love this design. Edge of Paradise, and it's the fucking tour shirt. I knew coming into this, I needed to grab this because when I saw them the first time, they did not have any merch available, or at least not any in my size. They were basically running out of everything. So I knew when I saw that they had... I was going to get a tour shirt for Lovebites, but a combination of me being broke and the fact that the line for the merch was practically out the door. They literally had to go over there and restock the merch from their bus multiple times throughout the show. That's how much people really fucking love Lovebites, which was cool to see, but I simply was not going to stick around for an extra, hour and a half, 2 hours, or whatever it would have been to get a fucking shirt at that point. I might try to get one aftermarket, we'll see, because I would like to get one to support the band, but let's talk about pros and cons, give it an overall grade. Pros, both of the bands. Edge of Paradise are incredible. They're genuinely one of my favorite finds this year, if not my favorite find this year. I love what they do, and they are a band that I fully intend to follow, for the foreseeable future. I love their fucking sets. They're such nice people. It was so great getting to meet them again, and again, they were nice enough to take the little video. I got a couple pictures with them. They're just wonderful people. Lovebites, such a cool fucking find, man. That's one of the things I love about just getting into music is just finding new stuff. And Lovebites blew me away. I would definitely go to another one of their shows, man. They were so fucking cool. And I just, even though that, again, that sort of arena, type singing metal and stuff like that, that's not my usual go-to. But they were so cool with it. Such amazing energy. The crowd was fucking into it. Yeah. So huge pros there. Venue, definitely going to put the venue as a pro. I love the setup. I love the layout. I love the sound. Definitely down with rookies, for sure. And then, in terms of anything else... merch. I got cool merch. I just wish that I could have gotten more cool merch. But again, in terms of cons, I have to put the crowd as a con. Not all the crowd. Okay? But the fact that we had, weird fucking incidents, that was just so shitty and weird. And then again, that weird thing with the fucking political pamphlet. Oh, that was gross. So, again, a lot of the crowd, very nice people, no major issues with my neighbors, but it was just those weird incidents, and then, so unfortunately, you're Gen Xers, okay? I love you. I'm not trying to harp on you, but keep your shit in check. Just like everybody. Millennials, keep your shit in check. I'm just saying. Anyway, overall grade for this show, I'm going to go ahead and give this one, and it's my 200th show, so I'm going to give this one A minus. A minus. Which, yeah, for my 200th show, I would have loved an A plus or what have you. But A minus is still really fucking good. The band's fucking killed it. The venue was great. Again, the crowd fucked it up a little bit for me. That was just a little bit of thing. And again, I wish I could have got some more merch. But overall, man, it was a fantastic experience. I loved it. Lovebites are amazing. Edge of Paradise. They're so fucking cool. Anyway, I'm going to sign off here. I don't have a good outro, so please keep going over there and supporting local music, live music. When you're out there, please get merch. Genuinely helps the bands move and do what they do. Spotify and shit like that does nothing for them, by the way. Do not think that, I follow it. No, they don't. That doesn't do anything. Buy some merch. Get to look cool like me. Anyway, fuck yeah. Bye.